So Jenni is the Executive Director of Oxford Glen Memory Care in Saxe, Texas. She's originally from East Texas and moved to Saxe 3 years ago to work with Oxford. She's also a certified dementia practitioner. Jenni volunteers as a speaker for the Alzheimer's Association and is an AIM advocate. She's a certified therapy dog named Olive that goes to work with her each day to visit residents, staff, and visitors. We'd like to welcome Jenni up. Thank you.
I am such a mover, I'm going to take this off. So you guys might not hear me quite too well. So, how are y'all? Good. Thank you guys for having us. This is my first time out to a Murphy Chamber Luncheon. You guys kind of want to let a good crowd here. Hey, I wanted to ask a question to start this out. How many of you guys know somebody or take care of somebody that's affected by Alzheimer's or dementia? So that's almost the entire room. Raise their hand right there. Some of the statistics that I wanted to talk to you about today as a part of this program were just introduced by the Alzheimer's Association. They're the 2019 Alzheimer's Disease Fact and Figures. There should be a handout on your table for this as well that you guys can read along a little bit. Right now we have 5.8 million Americans living with Alzheimer's disease in America. That number is going to almost triple by the year 2050. So guys, think of that. That's in 30 years. We're going to be up to 14 million people with this disease. Does that get your attention? Okay, so if we were to count this off, that would mean 1 in 3 of you guys, and I won't make you go through the exercise I typically do because I know y'all are eating, but typically I count you off and every third person standing is the person that's likely going to get Alzheimer's. The other 2 people that are sitting is how many it takes to take care of that person with Alzheimer's. It's actually getting closer and closer to 3 caregivers per 1 person with Alzheimer's in order to care for that person. So more than 16 million Americans provide unpaid care for people with Alzheimer's or dementia. You guys know how much that costs if we were to pay those people? Sometimes I've done something fun on Mother's Day and added up or looked up the statistics to see how much would a mom get paid for all the jobs she does if we were to pay that mom. You know, the average was $133,000 for a mom for the care that she provides, from cleaning, housekeeping, laundry, cooking, errands, all of that good stuff. To take care of somebody with Alzheimer's, it takes about 18.5 billion hours. $234 billion is what that would add up to if we were paying all of the caregivers that were doing this. So in 2019, the Alzheimer's and other dementia will cost the nation $290 billion. By 2050, that will reach $1.1 trillion. And that's in 30 years. So right now, Medicare is paying out one Medicare dollar out of every 5 that are spent is spent on somebody suffering from Alzheimer's or dementia. By the year 2050, it's going to be $1 in 3. Okay? So it's going to continue to go up, and go up. So we have officially deemed that Alzheimer's disease is a health crisis. All right? Back when I was in school, breast cancer was what we were being taught about at the time, and how young women, when I was, just in junior high and high school, it was 1 in 3 of you women will end up with breast cancer. Guess what, guys? That's gone down drastically in the last 30 years. And that's gone down drastically because of research that's been going on and early prevention techniques that have gone on. You know what's sad though? It's the number of people that die from Alzheimer's every year is greater than breast cancer and prostate cancer combined. That's something that doesn't come to our mind very often because we think, oh, it's just a memory disease. How does that kill somebody? It just affects our brain. So we can't remember maybe what we had for lunch, or we can't remember one of our children's names. So how does it kill you? Does anybody here know the answer to that? It depends. You're right, right? It's going to be different for every single person. What the brain does with the disease of Alzheimer's and dementia is going to keep your brain from knowing how to accurately relay information down to the rest of your body, and that means your organs as well. So memory is one of the first things that it affects. Down when you're getting towards the end stages, it's going to start even affecting your ability to swallow food, okay? That means a lot of the nutrients that you need to keep all of your organs going are not going to be able to get there. And ultimately, your brain stops telling, like your kidneys and your liver, I guess we only have one liver, your liver, how to process toxins out. And so they're going to build up. If somebody that is a senior and gets the flu, and that turns into pneumonia, even with antibiotics, guys, the brain doesn't know how to tell the body how to fight that off, all right? And that's what can ultimately end up killing a senior that has Alzheimer's or dementia. So 82% of seniors say right now that it's important to have their thinking or memory checked. Did you guys know that only 16% of seniors are actually receiving regular cognitive services from their physician? So, one of the things that we have been trying to get Congress to pass this year with AIM, which is the Alzheimer's Impact Movement, it's the advocacy arm of the Alzheimer's Association, is called the Improving Hope Act. Right? It was passed a few years ago, the Hope Act was, to provide a route for physicians to be compensated for doing cognitive testing and also for doing caregiving counseling, to coach people on what do you do next and what can you do to slow the progression. All right, what are some of the tips and tricks and what are the resources out there that you can get involved in? What are the caregiver resources out there to take care of the people taking care of the person with Alzheimer's? So they decided to fund that, and there is a code, a CMS Medicare code, that doctors can use to charge Medicare for that service. And they thought that that would kind of, incentivize the physicians to go and do the care planning. However, it turns out since that has come out, only 1% of physicians are using that code, which means that even with compensation, physicians are still not doing that. What we found out is that physicians either don't know that it's available or they're not comfortable talking about it because there's no cure. There's no route that they can send them to a specialist like they can for cancer to look into chemo or surgery or things of that nature. There's just no cure whatsoever. So with the Improving Hope Act, we want Congress to require Medicare to go out and train physicians on how to do care planning services for people with Alzheimer's and dementia and educate them on the actual billing code that they can use to get compensated for it so that they know about it. I was talking to a physician that comes to our building the other day and I'm like, hey, did you know about this code that you could be getting for care planning services? He's like, no, I didn't actually. He's like, what is that code? I want it. Because he actually is somebody that's doing it, but he didn't know he could be compensated for it. And so the Improving Hope Act is something that we're hoping can help with that as well. So every 65 seconds, is the number I want y'all to remember, every 65 seconds another person is diagnosed with Alzheimer's or dementia. Between 2000 and 2017, deaths from heart disease had actually decreased by 9%, while deaths from Alzheimer's disease have increased by 145%. So this is a growing epidemic that we have coming our way. The cheapest way for us as Americans through Medicare and all of that to actually solve this problem is going to be to find a cure. It's just going to by far be cheaper than just treating it as it's going along. So one of the things we're trying to do right now also with Congress and AIM, we're asking for 2 funding resources right now. I went up to Washington, D.C. At the end of March and early April for the AIM Forum, where we had around 1,250 people from all over the United States have scheduled meeting with our congressmen. Did I see somebody was here from Van Taylor's office? Yeah. Hey, my friend Nicole Smith, she ended up visiting with Van Taylor during this conference, and she was very, very pleased with the visit and said he was very welcoming, so thank you for that. She's been around the district as well, so it very well could have been her. She's a very big fan. So we're asking Congress right now to appropriate $350 million for NIH research funding. So this isn't money that we're saying, hey, give this $350 million to the Alzheimer's Association so we can go out and do researching. No, we know that we want it to be the National Institute of Health that goes and distributes this money, and that way it's all fair across the board. So we're asking for $350 million in the 2020 budget. And then also, last year, the BOLD infrastructure plan was enacted. It was voted in, it was signed by the president, we were all very excited, but guess what? We still have to fund that bill, and it has to be refunded every single year. And so we're asking for $20 million to support the funding of that bill that was passed last year. One other statistic I wanted to talk to you about is younger onset Alzheimer's. How old do you guys think you have to be to get Alzheimer's? There is no age, is there? It can get anybody. There are around 200,000 people in the United States right now that have Alzheimer's disease, that are under the age of 60 right now. Guess what though? They don't have access to the Older Americans Act yet. So they can't qualify even for Meals on Wheels to get assistance while they're at home, not able to work a job. So we are asking Congress to support a bill right now that's called the Younger Onset Act. And this would actually provide access to the people that are maybe between that 50 and 60-year range, access to the Older Americans Act so that they can qualify for some of these programs to benefit as well. Because it's just hitting earlier and earlier, and people can't work when they have it. Then they have insurance issues, they have families that are still younger and going to school. So we want to try to find a way to get them some benefits for something that they've worked towards earning for a very long time. They're just not quite there yet. So that's the Younger Onset Bill. So those are the 4 things with our advocacy arm of the Alzheimer's Association that we're working towards. Something a little more local that I would like to talk to you guys about is what we do at Oxford Glen Memory Care. We're just right over in Saxe. So we're about 3 miles down Murphy Road, across 78, and all we do every day is take care of people that have Alzheimer's and dementia. So most of the time I get told, wow, that must be a hard job. Guys, I get up every morning and I can't wait to get to go to work. It's actually one that I look forward to doing, because my perspective is, I didn't know these seniors before they had this disease. So guess what? I'm not grieving a loss at that time. The families are grieving the loss, but I only know them as they are now, so I get to treat them with the dignity of who I know them to be right now. I get to go have fun with them and laugh with them as they are right now. And when they don't have other people in their life that can do that right now, because for the families it's such a hard thing to face, that's a privilege in my world, that I get to be that person. And my staff, they get to be that person as well, to bring joy to them and bring some peace and take some anxiety away during this very scary disease for them at the same time. So locally, what we're doing at Oxford, we need more resources in the Saxe, Murphy, Wiley, and Garland area for Alzheimer's and dementia. There are a few other communities opened up, and then there's one opening up here soon with Amber back there. What's y'all's date? What are y'all looking at? Hopefully December. So what we want to do is start pairing up with the memory cares and working kind of hand in hand to bring more education to this area, and especially for caregivers that are living in the homes. Okay, so a caregiver in this term is going to be a husband or a wife, a daughter or a son that's taking care of somebody with this disease. Okay? How many of y'all would qualify as a caregiver in this room right now? So I count about at least 4 of you guys. What we want to do is teach you guys, while you're still taking care of your loved one in your home, some tips and tricks, all right? Because we do it every day, right? So when you're struggling with bathing that person because they don't know what that water is that's coming out of that faucet, it looks like it's bullets coming at them, and they're freaking out and saying, I don't want to shower. We got to get them clean, right? I mean, you can handle smell so much. Eating. When they're refusing to eat, we have tricks that we can help you guys with to evoke the sensory of smell and ways to get them reminiscing to want to eat their food, or different types of food if they just can't sit still long enough. then we know how to talk to you about finger foods and different things that will still be dignified for their age, but help them actually be able to get the nutrition at the same time. We're also gonna want to teach you guys some things about home safety. So if you have a loved one that shouldn't be in the cabinets anymore messing around with chemicals because they might drink it instead of using it to clean, we have different home safety techniques for things of that nature. On June 1st, we are going to have an Alzheimer's Caregiver Symposium. And, oh shoot, I went ahead one too fast, didn't I? So June 29th is going to be this right here with Tanisha Carr. Tanisha is going to come out and visit with anybody that would like to have a caregiver consultation. She is with the Alzheimer's Association, and she actually is not going to be talking anything about Oxford, okay? This is going to be a care consultation to get information on what's available in this area for the caregivers to have. It's a free consultation. It's not any kind of a sales tool of any kind. She's coming in from an outside organization trying to make her resource more available locally, because otherwise everybody that does a care consultation either has to do it on the phone or they have to drive all the way down to Dallas. So we're trying to get them out here so that people can have access to them just a little bit easier. So Tanisha's going to do that for us here on the 29th, on May 29th. And you guys are welcome to give her a call, and you can schedule an appointment with her. Moving to June 1st now, the symposium. I'm most excited about the symposium, guys, and that's why I jumped right ahead. This is kind of like a health fair. Who's been to a health fair before? How many of y'all have had a table at a health fair before? Most of you business owners have. So we're going to have this kind of like a health fair, but we're setting it up a little different, y'all. Guess what we're going to do? We have an author of an Alzheimer's workbook. Her name is Lori Janczak, and she is a forensic nurse. Forensic nurse, I had never heard of such a job description before until about a month and a half ago. She's a registered nurse, and she's also specialized training in going out and investigating different Alzheimer's and dementia needs. So when there's a person that has Alzheimer's or dementia, and we just can't quite figure out what their little tick is that will help them be redirected, or that will help them do bathing, or what medications are best for them, this is what she comes in to do, and she helps investigate that, and she's specially trained for it. She wrote a workbook about this. And we are tearing apart her workbook, and every table at our health fair is going to have vendors out there, like home healths, it's going to have hospices, it's also going to have different people from the community that do massage therapy, essential oils, home safety equipment, incontinence supplies. But instead of everybody going around this health fair and just collecting tchotchkes and brochures and ink pens and things of that nature, we're actually going to have a page of her worksheet at every single table. So we're going to find out what difficulty that person at home is having, and we're going to send them to those correlated tables, and the vendor's going to help them actually fill out a real-time worksheet and give them an education right there on that topic, guys. So this is going to be an educational process versus just a go around and get fun brochures. All right. So that's June 1st. What I'm really excited about is to close that out on June 1st. We're going to have a town hall. That is not listed up here right now because we're waiting for Representative Allred's office to submit that paperwork to us. But U.S. Representative Colin Allred is going to come out and do a town hall with us at 3 o'clock, especially on Alzheimer's and dementia disease. And that means people in our community are going to be able to go and ask him questions about what are they doing in Washington right now. How does he feel about the support that's being requested, and is it something that he can back? And you guys can tell your stories too. For those of you that are caregivers, you can actually sign up and tell your story and talk about some of the hardships to see if he has a way he could help us back in Washington, D.C. as well. And then last but not least, I'm going to tell you guys, we're doing a fundraiser on June 13th. June 13th is when we're going to do the fundraiser for the longest day. The longest day is actually on the 21st of June. And what we do is we say on the day with the most light is the day we fight. Okay? We had to go about a week early in order to do our event, but it'll still raise the money. We're going to do a rockathon. So we have a bunch of rocking chairs out, and we are accepting sponsorships. We're only going to do 10 sponsorships of rocking chairs. But companies can sponsor a chair, and from 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. we're going to rock to bring awareness for Alzheimer's and dementia. But what's kind of fun is we've gotten our residents involved as well. And at 2 o'clock, we are going to play a life-size game of Monopoly that we are going to set up in our big center atrium. So if you've never seen a life-size game of Monopoly, come out around 2 o'clock. But there is information on sponsoring the chair, or even just saying that, hey, you want to rock for 1 hour, you can sign up for that on the back side as well. I don't know how much time I have left, Julie. About 2 minutes, okay. So basically, I know you guys are having scholarships, so I wasn't able to really dig deep into the difference of regular aging versus Alzheimer's. So I want to give you 3 tips that you can watch for with your family if you see somebody with any of these things going on. And that way you'll know that it's not just normal aging, but it's likely a red flag, something that you should get checked out. Who here writes Post-it notes all the time? Don't be ashamed. Yeah? Okay, do your Post-it notes all say different things on them? Yeah? When those Post-it notes start saying the same thing over and over again, that's a red flag. Okay? That's going to be one of the biggest things you'll start to see with your loved one, is that they'll have the same phone numbers over and over again, even though they already had a note reminding them of it. Okay? Another one to watch for is going to be anything of danger that occurs that you've noticed. So they went on a walk and say they claim that, oh, I just lost track of time, but really, when you really dig down, you find out that they didn't know their way back home. Then that's a red flag. Third one is a lot of times you'll start to see a recliner sitting here. You'll have the TV right in front of it, and you'll have a table right beside the TV, or right beside the chair, and it'll be piled high with magazines and mail, and you've got drinks and snacks. They've got a trash can on this side of their recliner, and they're basically starting to live in a 3-foot radius of their recliner. Everything that they could need is right there. Their box of Kleenex, everything. When you start to see that happening as well, it's not necessarily a red flag for Alzheimer's or dementia, but it is a red flag that you guys need to be getting them in to see their doctor and talk about aging at that time. So take those 3 tips if you would. If you guys want to participate in any of these things we have going on, we'd love to have you. Even if you just want to come out and see what we do out there, you're welcome just to come and visit with us sometime. But thank you for having me.
Thank you, Jenni, for that. It's always nice to know what's coming in the future.